Hey guys, so we got the old 95 in here, and for you guys that have been paying attention to what I've been doing on this, I've decided that I'm going to bring it back down to stock. So I'm pulling the Fox reservoir shocks out of the front, which one of them was leaking. We're going to go back to a stock spring and a stock length shock, but we're doing a Bilstein 5100 in it. So we're going to lower that back down. I'm not sure if I'm going to have to change anything with the 3-link or not. We'll see. I'll monkey around with it a bit, and then I got to lower the rear end. But just today, we're going to do doing the shock side of things. All right, guys. So I got this truck on the hoist, 95. So if you're doing shocks on your 95, this is how you would do it. So it'd be the same from 94 to 2002, as long as the truck's this body style with a diesel in it. And then same with if you're going into the 3rd gen, it's basically the same idea, just your inner fenders are different, but it's basically the same idea. So anyways, I'm going to throw this into time lapse. Basically what you have to do is you have to pull, I don't know if you, oh yeah, you'll be able to see it. So there's 3 bolts across here you have to take off. This bolt on the bottom here, and then there's a nut on the top. So I'm going to pull these out, and then before I put the new one in, I'll show you what I do for that, and then we'll see you after the time lapse here. All right, guys, so I thought I better show you before I pulled this apart. I don't know how easy you guys will be able to see this, but so that 3rd bolt is fuel line's right over top of it, but it's right there, right below that fuel line. I'll have to shove the fuel line out of the way. And then there's the top nut that holds the top of the shock right here. So you got to pull that off. Now, sometimes they will spin, and there is on these ones, sometimes there's a broached inset to put a Allen key in, or it'll be have a hex on top, just depending. Where these ones can't spin because they're a reservoir, so there's a line coming out, can't spin all the way around. I guess it could break the line off, so you want to maybe be careful, but these ones haven't been in there that long, so they'll come out easy. And I sprayed them. I was spraying them for the last couple days. But anyway, so you got to pull that off, and then you have to snake this piece out. It's not super hard to do, but you do kind of have to monkey around. And then you can see I got a bunch of random wire and stuff that I haven't cleaned up. Don't mind that. But we'll get that pulled out, and then I think the install side I'm going to do on the opposite side because it's a little bit easier to see. And then yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm going to throw back on time lapse here. Like I said, I don't know how much of that you guys are going to be able to see. Should maybe set up a light here, and then I'll get back to you. All right, guys, so got this thing all cleaned up here a bit. I wanted to spray a little black paint because when they get the shocks in there, you don't want to cover the shocks. So the shocks I'm using are just Bilstein 5100s. Not really super expensive shock or anything like that. Just, you know, reasonably priced. So, something that I wanted to mention, these are the bolts that come out of there. Now these ones came out real easy because I had covered them in anti-seize. When you're taking these out, sometimes they will be seized in the bushing, and if they are not a good time to get out. So if you guys have these out, you know, cover them in anti-seize. Doesn't matter whether it's nickel or copper. I usually buy whatever is cheapest and available. I cover everything in these. So if you do, then you go to take it apart, it'll come apart. Something else that I wanted to mention though is I like to test fit the shock in there first, especially when you have the spring out, to make sure, yeah, because of the way that the angle of this thing is. So being my diff is drooped down a lot more than it would usually allow to be like that. But you can see, being that the shock, you can't get the shock straight to go in there, so it doesn't want to slide in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jack the axle up a little bit. Now, if you guys are doing this on the ground, you can lift the diff up or down, vice versa, whatever you need to do to get it to do what you need. And then I'm putting new springs in. I just bought these springs from Rock Auto. I didn't have a decent set of springs, stock springs to put in it, so I bought these. They were like, I think they were like $140 or something. They were cheap. So I'm just gonna jack this thing up. I'm gonna put it back in a time lapse. I'm gonna jack this thing up a little bit so I can get that shock to go in there easy. And then, but I gotta put the spring in first, obviously, because otherwise you can't get the spring in. So I'll just throw it back in a time lapse. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that lower bolt in first. Now when you're putting this lower bolt in, it'll have these tabs on it. So you're gonna have to slide that tab in here, and then the bolt will go in, obviously, but I'm gonna cover everything in anti-seize when I'm putting it back together. So I'll throw you back in a time lapse. None of this is really that hard to do, and I just didn't want to make the video super long, but I'm working on the truck and I figured, well, I might as well video some of it for you guys that have never changed shocks on one of these. And I like to, you know, spray paint that stuff and it looks nice. You know, I'm gonna spray paint the rest of it, but that spot, I didn't want to spray the shock, right? So anyways, I'm going to throw it back in time lapse now. All right, guys, so I got the shock in there, the shock and the spring in there where I want it. Now, this is a lot easier to do on the hoist, obviously, because, you know, if you need to adjust up and down, or I can use the tranny jack under there. But if you're doing this, lots of times you're not going to be pulling the spring. So what I do is you just pull this hat, you can pull it out of the way, and then you can slide the new shock in there. You will lots of times have to pry the old shock out. And then at the bottom here, so depending on the shock, but sometimes the shock is too wide to fit in the groove. So either you have to bend those tabs out if they look bent, or you have to grind the bushing on the shock a little bit. These ones didn't look that bad. I banged this one a little bit. But then I went over to the belt sander and just ground a little bit off of the end of the shock so they slide in there. Way easier than trying to do it the hard way. You know, work smart, not hard. Now, I got those shocks in there. I still have to tighten the bottom, or the top and the bottom, but I just get everything started is what I do. I'm gonna let it down, and I'm going to tighten the top. I'll lift it back up again. We'll tighten the bottom one. And then this part will be done. Now there is gonna be more stuff that I have to do here, so I'm not sure if this is gonna work, being that it's lowered. We'll have to see what it looks like, but I'm thinking that this is gonna be too close to here. So we might have to build a new setup for this, which is what it is. Like I can, the arm that can go from here to here is still gonna be the same. So this stock might, I don't know if you guys can see that, it might be too dark, but this is the stock location, so I might have to make something, or I don't know, we'll see what she's like. But anyways, I'm gonna let the tranny jack down, and then I'll come back and I'll show you. I'll tighten that and tighten this. I'll do that in real time. All right, guys, so we're just gonna get in here. Sorry if the air compressor going. We're gonna get in here and tighten this nut, and then there's the one shock tower nut that we have to put on as well. Put that on maybe while it's standing right here. For that. And then all we have to do is just tighten this up. So we got that tightened up. Sometimes you will have to put a ratchet on there, or a wrench on the socket, and or on the nut, sorry, and then you know, an Allen key in here. Sometimes you can do it this way. It just depends. You know, Sometimes you can load it up a little bit too. If you got a jack on it, you can load it and then it'll pull on it a little bit and then it'll tighten for you. Not really super hard to do, but if you don't have a good impact gun, it's just easy to do it by hand. Doesn't take that long. Just hold the wrench and then turn it counterclockwise or loosening it, which will honestly, it'll turn the shaft inside and then not go in the nut. So what I'm going to do, that pretty much has it for this. I'm going to tighten up the other side, and I'm going to put the rims and tires that I have for it. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep them on there. We'll see what it looks like when I'm going to throw them on there right now with a couple nuts, because the truck I still can't drive anyway. So we will we'll get that done, and maybe I'll do a little walk around after I put the rims on it and see what it looks like. Give you guys my point of view and see if I'm going to keep them on there or see what you guys think, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, so we got this thing in, we got the shocks in there and the new springs. So wipe some of the crap off there. So we got them in there. I'm gonna pull those top plates back off, I think, and sandblast them and paint them. I have another set, so I'll probably do it to those and then put them on here. But anyways, I got those bolts tightened up. Everything's good and tight. You want to make sure you get those good and tight. You don't want those to move. I don't know what the torque is on them. I think probably it's got to be 125 foot-pounds. Yeah, something like that. You can look it up. But you put it real good. Like this is the ratchet that I used to tighten them. So it's a big ratchet. You know, I use the impact gun, snug them, then just make sure they're good and tight. So anyways, that's going to conclude it on the swapping shocks part of the video. I'm gonna do some more stuff to the truck here. I'm gonna swap the rims and tires around to the different rims and tires that I have for it. See if I like them with that on there, and if not, then I guess we'll be buying a new set of rims and tires for this truck, and then we'll use those ones maybe on the shorty, see how they look like. But anyways, I quickly greased the front end too while I was at it. You know, a little preventive maintenance goes a long way. Same with the paint. Just checked a few bolts, make sure nothing was loose. I did actually find one that I had to tighten up a little bit on the other side, this sway bar end link bolt. For you guys that are looking at those, this is the old style front end. They used to have a loop here, and then this would be down here. These are off of an F450, like an 06 F450. They work, but you have to put a bracket on there, and the bracket bent on me, and I welded it, and yeah. Anyways, I'm going to change that setup when we do the front diff swap. We'll be going to the newer style track bar, and then we'll be using the track bar, or not track bar, sway bar, and we'll be using the sway bar end links from the newer truck when we go to do the swap anyways. So I'm gonna put the rims and tires back on. I'll pull it outside, and then I'll do a little quick walk around and see what you guys think. Well guys, I got the 20s on. I like the way it looks, but I don't like how far they stick out. Because I think it looks cool how wide it is, but if I leave it like that, I'm definitely gonna have to leave the fender flares on. I don't know if I wanted to leave the fender flares on them. I don't want to rot the body out because of the fender flares. They've only been on there, now they've been on there I guess 2 years, but I wrapped completely underneath the fenders, and I've been undercoating it, being the salt here kills stuff, but obviously nothing's clean. Like, I didn't clean the truck or clean the wheels when I put them on there. They don't look bad. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm definitely gonna have to put mud flaps on it. They're really bad here for giving tickets out for your tire poke, and it definitely has tire poke. So I'm not sure. I think it looks cool, but looks cool and tire and ticket, I no likey. I don't know, we'll see. I might run it around a little bit with on those and just see See how I like it, how it drives if I don't like the way it drives. Because see, what I was thinking about doing on this was basically the same setup I was going to do on the short box. So I am going to, so it's an inch higher in the back than it's supposed to be ish. So I'm going to put the stock block back in, and I might even lower it another ½ an inch. Yeah, it's about 8 inches in the front, 8-9 inches in the front, and then it's, say, about 10 inches in the back, which isn't horrible. Like, it doesn't look bad. I'm gonna have to redo traction bars and stuff, and I'm gonna have this truck repainted. Like I was talking, I'm gonna have this truck repainted. I'm just gonna go white again. It'll be just a bright white, I think they call it. It'll gonna get it painted so that, like, I'll paint all the chassis black, and then the whole truck will be painted white again, so with black wheels. But what I was gonna do for this was, I was thinking of 18 by 9s. These are 18 by, no, 20 by 12s, I think, or 20 by 10s. I don't know. I'd have to measure them. I can't remember. So long ago I bought them from a guy up north of me, which the guy's named Mike. I know him, and so I've had him probably at least 2 years, if not 3 years, I guess now. But anyways, that's what it looks like on there. I'm on the fence. I'm definitely gonna have to put mud flaps on it, which I hate mud flaps, but it is what it is. But I don't know, like I said, I don't know if I want to deal with that or not, but I guess we'll see. Anyways, that's gonna lock up this video, I think. Like, subscribe, hit me down in the comments, and check out my Patreon. Appreciate everybody, and we'll catch us on the next one.